I just want to make a little comment before I do that. The House has chosen to debate this clause by clause, as it's wont to do. And no one has transgressed yet, but I just think I should say that we will be pursuing the matter of relevance to each debate as it does as we work our way through this. This is a general comment to the House. Honourable Trevor Mallard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I would like to speak to the preamble on this bill. And sort of as my colleague did, I can see that he's waited for my not referring to his absence at all, but I see that he's spoken and run away. Mr. Speaker, in a way that other people have done every now and again in the past. Mr. Speaker, I'm going to go backwards through the preamble on this bill after I've made some preliminary comments. And the first of my preliminary comments is one of some regret, because traditionally Christ College has been known as a school that goes with form and a proper approach. And I regret the fact that this bill is in the name of Nicky Wagner and not Brendan Burns, who is the local Member of Parliament, and for whom, on the basis of form and an appropriate approach, it should have been. Mr. Speaker, I accept that with one or two notable exceptions, Christ College is the National Party at school, and therefore, Mr. Speaker, sorry. I accept that not all. I accept that not all National Party members went to Christ College. I said, well, I don't think I'm allowed to use all the words that Michael Cullen has used in relation to Christ College. He is an old boy, but I think it is fair to say that the member is wearing a colour that's more appropriate to the political background of Christ College old boys than...
You're referring to the Minister?
No, the member in the chair. The member in the chair. Blue is the colour that they tend to. And I think it's... I'm just saying, I think it is a pity that they could not see past a political bias in order to do what was good form and the proper thing and the generally expected thing, and that is to ask the local member for the school to be the sponsoring member for this legislation. Because as people could see from the first of at least 5 contributions that Brendan Burns is going to make on this debate, he is absolutely across the issues in this legislation and has made a lot more sense on the bill than I've heard others make. And I'll go on to make my second point, Mr. Chairman, and that is that I'm not at all convinced that the requirements of this preamble are in fact met. The member for Christchurch Central has convinced me not to oppose this bill, and he had to do some work. But if we look at subclause 5 of the preamble, it is clear that clause is not correct. It's been clear from the debate that we've heard from the member herself on the introduction of the bill, from David Parker, as he's just discussed it. There is an alternative route, and that is a route through a variation in the High Court. So the suggestion that the objects of this Act cannot be achieved without legislation is just wrong. Now, I'm not saying that occasionally, and we've done it, I think, in the past with Anglican and Methodist trusts in this House, it is not appropriate to use the House to vary trusts. I'm not sure that we should get in the habit of doing it, because what that means is that Parliament is tipping over arrangements that have been entered into by people in the past when there is a method of doing it through an approach to the High Court, an approach which has not been taken up in this particular case. Mr. Speaker, the next point that I'd make is to have some discussion around Clause 2 of the preamble, where it suggests that over time some of those purposes have become redundant, uncertain as to application and practical to implement, or the income derived from property is inadequate or in excess of the amount necessary for the purpose for which the property was given to or vested in the governing body. Well, Mr Speaker, I don't think I heard within the... Mr Speaker, Mr Chairman.
Honourable Trevor Mello.
Mr Chairman, I think the only in excess area I heard was in relation to, I think, sports which were no longer part of the games played by the boys of Christ College. But I didn't hear very good argument right at the edge, other than arguments of convenience. And I'm not sure that it's appropriate for the Parliament to be the vehicle to tidy up trusts which are inconvenient to the particular school. And I think it is fair to say that there's not much debate that these things do need to be tidied up. You know, I think we know that, as is indicated here, that some of the funds have not enough money in them, some of them have too much money in them for their purposes, but it just does go back to this. And can I say, Mr Chairman, I sat on the committee, I think on 3 occasions when the bill was being considered, and on the occasion which I understand was a second occasion on which the governors from the school, the governing body, were brought back to have a discussion with the committee, because we were at the time concerned that the bill, as it was introduced, was broader than it needed to be. And I must say that I suppose, like most people representing Christ College, they were exceptionally polite, they were well informed, they had good legal advice, whether they and good legal advisors with us, and they made a case which, on balance, convinced the Select Committee to proceed with the bill, but to make the amendments, which I think have been made unanimously. And I do want to say to Mr Hayes, who took a leading role from the government on this legislation, and we thank him for the work that he did. And we're just hoping though that he's not hoping that he's not doing it in some sort of attempt to line up one of his own schools for this sort of legislative change, because it does occur to me as we consider the preamble, Mr Chairman, that it might be that as part of an education member bill we could work towards some sort of arrangement whereby, if there are a big group of these schools, we could do them as a job lot. I mean, it might be. I mean, I don't know if there'd be total level of trust. You know, it might be that Scots College and Christ College might be a bit scared that they get amalgamated as a result of that sort of legislation. Well, if I was in charge of the bill, there may be more danger, but actually probably not quite as much as is indicated in the preamble. But I think it is fair to say that, going back to the preamble, which is important, that subclause 4 is one which is absolutely accurate. I mean, in fact, it could well be described as an understatement when it says the governing body wishes to have the authority to apply property in these circumstances to provide more appropriate and enhanced benefit to the college. And I would say, from their point of view, there's no doubt at all that they wanted to have an increase in power of that type. And I think it's also fair to say that subclause 1 is entirely accurate. The governing body of Christ College holds property given to or vested in it for various purposes. I think it's fair to say that there can't be very much debate about that. That is unlike subclause 5. That is a matter of fact. Sorry. Sorry.